God, what a week in comic books. We not only get to see Batman's dick, but his other dick gets shot in the head. I know what I said. Hello, comic book people of the world. It is comic book day, and there are quite a few comic books that I read this week. Let me show you what my load looks like. First up is Batman Damned, issue number 1. This is taking place in DC Comics' Black Label line, which is supposed to take place outside of their main continuity. And it offers much more adult themes to it. In this case, we have Batman teaming up with Constantine. The premise surrounds the death of the Joker. There's also a dark premise inside of Batman's head. Deadman is also a part of this storyline, and we're seeing some new insight into Batman's past. But the big thing that has many comic book geeks out there roaring is the idea that we get to see the outline of Bruce Wayne's dick as he takes off the Batman costume. We get 2 panels of that, and we also get to see his nice round ass. I personally think it's awesome, and we get an answer to the age-old question of whether or not Bruce Wayne was circumcised as a baby. He was. I obviously cannot put the panels of Bruce Wayne's dick in this video, but if you're watching this video on my website, I am putting it in the description below, so I'm just letting you know now. Next up is Batman issue number 55 in the main DC continuity. This is starting up a new storyline involving Dick Grayson, and unfortunately the plot of this has already been spoiled long ago. KG Beast is in Gotham, and he's targeting Nightwing, and it's the beginning of a mini Batman event where Nightwing is shot through the head. Writer Tom King has made it clear that he plans on erasing a lot of Nightwing's past, or at least the memories of his past, and he's going to be reconnecting with all of these in the future story. I don't know whether or not I'm going to like this idea, neither do a lot of fans, because I've seen a lot of outrage about this, but let's see what happens. In case you were wondering, that's what I meant when I said Batman's other dick was shot. The Amazing Spider-Man Annual issue number 1. Most quote-unquote annuals for any series generally don't add too much to a story. Most of the time they're just independent backstories that are added to a character. In this case, we get a bit more insight onto the symbiote that attached itself to Spider-Man after the Secret Wars, which we all know eventually bonded with Eddie Brock and became Venom, and a couple other people we just won't mention. But in this story, we get to see a more sympathetic look at the symbiote and the fact that it was really trying to help Peter Parker in a very demented kind of way. Earth's Mightiest Avengers issue number 8. After defeating a bunch of crazy Celestials, the Avengers set up shop in one of the Celestials' bodies. It's kind of weird and twisted, but hey, you know what? It is a new take on their whole headquarters. Captain America Annual issue number 1. This annual is another backstory taking place in Captain America's past back in World War II. It's not the worst read, it is somewhat interesting, but it's not really all essential. Soldier Supreme Infinity Wars tie-in issue number 1. This is an alternate continuity taking place within the whole Infinity War storyline, where Steve Rogers is now the Soldier Supreme. His character is merged with Doctor Strange, so he's got the whole soldier thing going on with him, but he's also got the whole sorcerer thing too. It's like an origin issue, and I do have to say I was interested in reading it. Star Wars issue number 54. Despite the cover, Leia and Vader do not square off, but that would be really cool to see. It's the ending of a story where we get to see the rebels just barely get away from the Empire, and we get to see them unite the rebels somewhat a bit more. But the cool point in this issue is we get to see Leia fly a TIE fighter, and having Luke and Han almost shooting her down. Luckily though, the Force is with Luke and he was able to censor something off there. We also get to see Vader being a badass because Vader is a badass. Thor issue number 5. We get to see Thor, Odinson Thor, far in the future, take on the Phoenix, whose the host happens to be Wolverine. It's an epic fight. However, at the end of this issue, we're introduced to a new character where we may be seeing an even bigger fight in the next issue. Finally, last but not least, I read X-Men Gold issue number 36. This is the finale to this series. It's not the best, it's not the worst either. I know everything had to be wrapped up fairly quickly in this series. The story involved Kitty and her team trying to rescue a new mutant whose powers had just emerged, and he was starting to destroy a neighborhood. It leaves off somewhat ambiguous and leaves a stale taste in your mouth after reading. The cover itself has a very ominous feel to it, even though it is very misleading. But that's it, that's my comic load for this week, with the exception of Injustice vs. Masters of the Universe issue number 3, which I'll talk about in a separate video. What does your comic load look like? Leave comments down below and let me know. We've reached the end of my video. If you've made it up to this point, you're pretty darn awesome. If you haven't done it yet, subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, hit that like button. Also put on the notification bell so you know when I put up future videos. Check out my Patreon site when you get a chance. Check out my social media sites, my websites, and everything else out there. Peace, love, namaste, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. I'm in love with a hero. Some people online are really upset with the idea of seeing Bruce Wayne's dick. I mean, it's not like it's a big deal. It's all in the shadows and everything, and we all knew he had one anyway. Now we're just getting confirmation as to whether or not he was circumcised as a kid.